I'm Steve. I'm your host for this session. I realize it's a little cool in here, but Dee promises to keep us moving, so we'll be warming up. We'll be warming up really quickly. So we're here to talk about how to influence difficult people and smile while doing it. So that's a great subject. Our speaker today is Dee Daley. She's an organizational change management and Lean Six Sigma expert.
Yes, I am.
So, Dee, tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate about this subject.
Well, because after last night dancing and drinking, I thought we needed to have some fun and not think too hard. So this is a fun workshop. It's easy, and I think it's really relevant. So thanks a lot for coming. I am Dee Daley. I've got a lot of helpers because this is such a big room, and so my helpers need to go to their assigned spots. Thank you. And so did everybody have fun last night? It was good. It was good. I thought, well, I didn't know what a big crowd I'd have on the morning after all that free booze, but it looks like we all showed up, so that's great. Thanks for coming. Okay. Now, I know you're change experts, so I'm going to try to influence you right off the bat and say, I'm going to thank you in advance for your flexibility because you are going to be moving. And some of you have luggage, and I know that's going to be a hassle. So I'm only most likely going to move you once, so if that helps. But when I move you, you are going to get permanently moved. So if you want to put your luggage somewhere, please do, or whatever, okay? So let's get started on getting moved right away into the location I'd like you to be into. So the first assignment for this morning, I apologize, this might be a little tedious, but give it a little time. I'm sure you can figure this one out. You have to self-identify. Are you an assertive person? And there's no, please understand, because this is change management, the soft skill world, there's no negatives. There's nothing good or bad about this. It's just who we are. So would you identify yourself as somebody who's on the more or less tell dimension of assertiveness? And I have my good friend Grace over here. Grace, say good morning. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from. Thank you, Grace. She's a great lady. Make sure you get to meet her. So if Grace represents what we call, holding up the sign there, tell or advocate. It represents that if you feel you are more of a tell or advocate person, you're going to gravitate towards that half of the room. And I have the room divided with that table right there, so that's easy to tell the half. Now, a little bit more about when you move to that side, what would be your qualities? You would be the individual in the crowd, and you can tell from this week, who naturally would march up to somebody and say, hi, I'm Dee Daley, how are you? That's your natural instinct, to take the lead. It's also your natural instinct to be more directive. Again, not in a negative way, but just more of a directive person. On the opposite side of this middle line here is what we have, my good friend Melissa. Introduce yourself. Thank you, very good. And the sign you're holding up is?
Ask an inquiry.
Okay. So if you're on that side of the assertiveness scale, where you'd be more of an ask, ASK, I'm not swearing. I just have to make that clear. People are like, whoa, we can't invite her back. So it's inquiry. You tend to maybe be more, less assertive. I mean, that clearly says it. So I don't think I need to describe it anymore. With that, I'd like you to pick up your stuff, your coffee and everything. You're going to be standing because you're going to make one more move. So I apologize. I've already apologized. So please make a move. That's good. Very good. That's fine, Steve. Whew. Okay, one more move. One more move. Thank you. So where you're headed is you're headed to a quadrant. So that means your this is the most important part of my presentation. If I can't get you moved correctly, I gotta go home. So please work with me on this. That's why I have all my helpers. Now, I have on this end, the next dimension that we are going to move on is called the responsiveness dimension, also called the emotional dimension. So now we're going to ask you, are you more reserved? And Sharon will introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Sharon Lyerly. I'm an independent consultant currently working at US Cellular.
And you look fabulous. Yes. I mean, even though she's short, she is holding the sign up. I tried to get some of you tall people to help, but I had to get Sharon, but she's doing fine. Thank you, Sharon. And I've also roped her into helping me later in the program, so you don't want to become my friend or you'll have to work. Okay, so on the other end, Gail, tell us what you're going on. Kate, tell us who you are and what sign you're holding up. Emotional. Now, so here's where the hard part is. So you're going to have to, don't cross over. You have to, if you're on this side, you're staying on this side, right? And if you're on this side, you're staying on this side. But you're going to have to move vertically.
So it's opposite of the slide?
It's, yes. Wait a minute.
This line right here. Yeah. Yes. Right, reserve is toward me.
The sign better be right. So it's correct.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, so if you're reserved, you're going to move towards me. And if you're emote, you're going to go that way. So go. Reserve towards me. Wow.
Can you repeat what were the right-left quadrants? Because a couple people came.
Yes. Sure. Ma'am, to repeat, if you feel you're more assertive, you're on this side. If you feel you're more reserved, you're, less assertive, you're on this side. Okay. Thank you again. I'm going to tell you in a few minutes what quadrant you're in. Thank you to all my helpers. A little applause for my helpers. Because even though I've done this workshop many times, I still get confused with the quadrants, so I always need a lot of help. It must be something in my brain. But anyway, thank you very much. Here's a little quiz to introduce me. Where have I not worked? Where do you think I've not worked? GE. Oh, no, I'm retired from GE. I worked at GE many years. SunTrust, I've done consultant work there. Home Depot's based in Atlanta, and I work there because I'm from Atlanta. So that leaves AT&T. I've never worked there. Okay, I'm not certified in which of those? I'm certified in Martin Seligman's Authentic Happiness course. Excellent. And Pink talked about that. So I am certified in that. We know I'm a black belt. And I am certified in ADCAR. And believe me, I would never go into the water. It scared me to death. So I have nothing to do with scuba diving. Okay, so what to expect? You're going to move around. You've already done that. We're going to laugh out loud because we're going to cut you loose to start talking to each other about each other, and that's going to be fun. And you're going to get the great gift to unfold, which is the gift of how to influence difficult people. We're going to move fast because I'm really from New York. I grew up in Ohio and I live in Georgia. After the session, there's a toolkit, and I have it loaded. So a lot of the information I'm going to fly by, but it's really great information. I didn't design any of it. It's all based on books that were written. So I put a lot of it into the toolkit, or you can buy the books and they're out at the bookstore. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a practitioner. We want you to have fun. So these are the two books that all this information comes from. Merrill and Reed, they did their work in the 60s. I'm sure many of you know them. They published their book in the 80s. And then based on their work, the Boltons, the husband and wife team, came up and did more work on it. Both books are great. I prefer the People Styles at Work book because it's a little more reader-friendly. The Personal Styles Effectiveness book is more academic. But if I'm going to present this and teach this, I did read the more academic book. So what are we going to do? We're going to learn about social styles. we're going to identify your predominant style, which you've already done, but you don't know it yet, but that's what quadrant you're in. Then we're going to talk, we're really going to have fun because we're going to talk about what we like and dislike about each other's styles, because that's really going to be the heart of this influencing. We have to know about each other and understand what we might like and dislike. And then we're going to learn how to identify social styles, and then we're going to do style flexing. And we're going to do a little practice session, and you'll be involved in that. And I also have some volunteers. Sharon's going to be doing that with me. And so what is social styles? Social styles is the name that is given to behaviors that you can observe. So this is not like Myers-Briggs, which is more of a psychological model. This is what you see. It's only the observable behaviors. It's like the tip of the iceberg. That's why I have the iceberg slide up there. Not a psychological profile. You can identify somebody's social style by just observing them. You don't have to interview them. You don't have to know their past, their childhood, or anything like that. It's just, okay, based on what I can observe, looking at you, Steve, I've already checked you out, and I figured out what social style you are. And we'll talk about it later. My host. Are you excited? Okay. Now, what percent of the people that we work with or interact with, not just work with, but interact with every day are different than us? What do you think? That's so close. Who said that? Tell me your name again. Cindy Baker. Cindy Baker said 80%. If I had a prize, I'd give it to you. Because it is 75. So that's really great. So it is 3 out of 4. So I mean, we probably know this, but it's nice to be reminded. 3 out of 4 of the people we interact with, that's our sponsors. That's the people we're trying to influence. That's the people we manage, the people who manage us. They're different from us. They plan differently. They think differently. They stress out differently. So we have to be mindful of that when we're trying to influence them, especially when we find that they're difficult. Because if we find they're difficult and we need something from them, we need to influence them. So important slide, 3/4 of the people, 3 out of 4 are different than us. So now let's talk about your predominant style. Whew. Okay, the big reveal. Those of you who are in the back right corner, your style is, so let me identify them because it's such a big room. Who were back right people? Can you stand up? All the back right. That would be high, wait, is that right? Okay, so you are the expressors, right? So you are the expressors. And that means you're assertive and you emote, right? Okay, now, I kind of want you to be kind of together. I don't need you to move again, but sort of know that you are an expressor, because when we do our exercise, we need to do that. So you're not fully 1/4 of our group. I'm looking at the whole group, so I'll be interested. Okay, thank you, thank you. The next group would be, this group up here are the directors. Low emote, and high assert. So would you stand up, directors? Okay, great, very good, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, all right, back left, you would be the relator. Emote and not assertive. Could you stand up, the relators? You know what, that looks like the largest population. Now, if you're a relator and you're like at a table by yourself, if there's another table you can move to, if you could, that might help. If you could kind of sit together, relators. Okay, now the group up here to the left are low emote and low unassertive. You are the analyzers. Yay, okay, analyzers. Wow, that is fantastic. Okay, thank you. What I find interesting is that we are very evenly balanced. Are you surprised that our population in this group of change management professionals are evenly balanced? I am kind of surprised. What did you think? I'm sorry, what is your name? Bill. Bill thinks it would have been skewed. Which way do you think it would have been skewed, Bill? More on this side. Mm-hmm. Well, whatever. The literature says that we're equally divided in the United States, so apparently we are a good representative sample. So you all remember your groups now, right? Okay, super. Again, just a reminder, you self-identified based on those two dimensions, which are the dimensions that came to us from Merrill and from Reed in their literature. So what I'd like to do now is come down into the audience and talk to the various groups about the other groups, because this is where we kind of laugh out loud. All right, so I'm going to come down and walk around with a mic, and I'm going to start with the expressors, because the expressors are usually the people who have the most to say. Okay, and am I right? Yes. The expressors, I put the personality characteristics of the expressors up there. So I guess I'm going to carry this. I think I am. I need, somebody, can you get that? I'm too short. Okay, expressors, right? Okay, very good. Now, you are, may I have a representative? Now, watch this. I'm going to ask what expressor wants to talk. The whole group will stand up. Which expressor would like to talk? See? Okay. All right, here I come. Here I come. See, now you're going to be restrained. All right, stand up, please. And here's your microphone. Sure. All right, and your name is Suzanne, and tell us where you're from.
I'm from PwC in Tampa.
Okay, great. Now, Suzanne, I'm going to start with you, but then I'm going to ask you to pull in some of your partners, because they love to cooperate, because this is the expressor group, energetic, full of always ready to give, promoting people, enthusiastic, often humorous, often the life of the party, often the people that other people want to shut up. But we'll find that out. We'll find that out when we go talk to them. Okay? Am I right? Yes. So, but what I'd like to ask, Suzanne, you and your fellow expressors, to talk a little bit about the analyzers. Because that's, you guys over there, the analyzers, you're the polar opposite of the expressors. So what I'd like to know, expressors, and feel free, we're all friends here, tell us what you might find aggravating about the analyzers. And you can get help from your friends, if you would.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
I wish that they would just hurry up, tell me what they're thinking so I can tell them what to do.
Pass the mic around to a few of your friends, if you would. Stand up, please, and tell us your name.
Hello, my name is Miriam. So, for analyzers, I'd like them to finish that report early and send it to us fast.
Thank you. So they think you're slow analyzers. Your turn's coming up. I went to them first. Okay, next.
I'm Grace, and I just want you to share your thoughts and feelings with me. Why do I have to guess?
I'm Angie, and I wish that you would not, I find a lot of scope creep. You chase down the details and keep chasing when I need you to focus.
This is just harsh. Okay. Because it doesn't mean they don't love you, analyzers. So anybody, one more, and then if somebody can get a mic over here to some of our analyzers. Thank you, my host Steve. And one more, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Jennifer Blair, and I really wish you would just see beyond the checklist.
Thank you very much. Thank you, expressors. Give it up for the expressors. Thank you. Now, the positive characteristics of the analyzers are precision. This is a generic, I do need to make this caveat. These are labels, and we don't really like labels, but they are convenient for helping us categorize. And we are all four-style people. So that's one of the most important things I like to say, because people get a little hung up. They say, I might be an expressor, but I'm still precise. I assume you all have guessed what style I might be. Okay, expressor. I am an expressor. But I'm a black belt. I mean, I do very precise work. So it doesn't mean I can't do precise work, and it doesn't mean I'm not detail-minded. It's just that my predominant style is more on the assertive, emotional. That's it. It doesn't mean I can't blend into the others or I don't have those skill sets. So be thinking of that when you're thinking about yourself. So to the analyzers, what do you find difficult and upsetting about the expressors, your polar opposite?
In today's world, you cannot do without our data.
Would you just shut up? You cannot think a thought without saying it out loud.
Oh, I'm sorry, please introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sunny. And I know you like to process out loud, and I'm happy to sit with you through this onslaught of verbal abuse. But don't ask me what I'm thinking or feeling right away, because I have to go off and think about it a little bit before I can tell you.
Whoa, wow. Thank you. Thank you, Sonny. That material really is the essence of understanding the differences, because we need to think. If you're an analyzer, let me think. I've been married to an analyzer for 38 years, and she said if you would shut up, I could maybe have a thought, I could speak, so I know what this means. So thank you very much. Let's do the relators, which are supportive, more of a touchy-feely group. That's the relator. And I'd like to hear what they find kind of difficult about their opposite, the directors. The relators are team-focused, sharing, they're emotional, and less directive.
Hi, my name is Daryl, and the last time I checked, my compass did not point to your office.
Oh! Thank you, Mr. Relator. Okay, how about a mic over to the directors? Because I want to move pretty quick because we got some other exercises. Is there a mic over here for the directors to tell us what they find aggravating about the relators? And introduce yourself, please.
My name is Bryce, and can you please stop singing Kumbaya?
Please stop singing Kumbaya. Thank you very much. So the 4 styles, it gives you a little touch about what we might find difficult or aggravating about each other. Also in the slides and in the toolkit, I put some information about the perceived negatives. And some of those negatives came out in just our short vignette here. The directors are considered as pushy. The expressors are sometimes flaky and over-emotional. The relators are just too kumbaya. And you guys are considered too slow. But we need you desperately for your data. Another way to identify these styles is called the backup styles, which is when we're under stress. So if you have a difficult time identifying somebody's style, because it is important to identify their style so you can influence them, especially when you want to influence a difficult person, this slide might be of tremendous value. I worked for a woman who was a director. She was terrific. I loved working for her. Her name was Susan. Well, Susan got a new boss and got put under a tremendous amount of pressure. And all of a sudden, Susan became like an alien. And she would come into my office, and instead of her usual, just checking on me and saying hello and what's going on, she came in with kind of like, Dee, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, I need you to do this. And this went on for about 3 months. And I realized that she was in her backup style. She was under a tremendous amount of pressure. She thought she was going to lose her job, and so she became extremely autocratic. I'm an expressor. When I get kind of crazy, I kind of blow up, kind of get attack. Relators have a tendency to acquiesce, and analyzers have a tendency to avoid. Again, these are generalizations. This is the literature from Dr. Merrill and followed up by the Boltons. But I do think it's valuable, especially as we get to try to understand differences and understanding how we can influence people. So a recap of the social styles. One is not better than the other. We are all 4-style people. Our population is divided in the US evenly, and we all have a dominant style, which you've been identified as today. So now, how do you identify a social style? You did it very easily here today, and you can do that with your teams. You can go back home and say, hey, I learned this presentation, and here you did. Dee Daley showed me this, and you can do it with your teams. It's a lot of fun. They love understanding each other and their differences. This would be a more detailed way to do it. I'm going to fly by this slide because I want to move to keep us moving. But there are specific behaviors that you have to work on and identify to really drill down to what is this person. Whether they're assertive or not, you use this list. And then whether they're responsive or not, you use this list. So it's a list of basically the adjectives, you know. Are they moving forward? Are they less reserved? Are they more formal? That helps you identify their responsiveness. But again, for sake of time, I want to fly by this and get into the gift part of the program, which is the gift you can open immediately, which is how to influence people that are difficult by knowing their styles and learning this next step. So what style is best for business? Do you guys think there's one style that's best for business? You think it's the directors. You think it's the expressors. You think it's the relators. You think it's the analyzers. The answer is there's no good, the research. This was all based on the research. They've not found one style that works better for another. If they did, they'd all be going out and giving this as a test, and then they'd be hiring us based on that. And that was the intention of the researchers in the beginning anyway. They were trying to do it. They were researching a insurance company, and they were trying to find out the best life insurance agents. Who would be the best one? Should we hire? Now this is interesting because this goes back to Dan Pink's talk, remember? And he said introverts and extroverts were equally successful. This is not introverts and extroverts, but the same kind of concept. They're equally successful. All four styles are equally successful, and they're all represented in all careers. You may have a tendency to go towards one type of a career, but we're all equally successful. What is the what the researchers found makes a difference is this thing called versatility. So I'm going to cue up my actors. You haven't left the building, have you? Because you guys can come on up, and I'm going to introduce you because you're getting ready for your gig. So what really is the differentiator that makes you successful and me successful is our ability to flex. Again, this ties right in with with Dan Pink's talk, that he called it what, mimicking? Remember? He said it's important that we mimic each other. So it's our ability to read each other and to respond to them. So what we're going to talk about is this thing called style flexing. So style flexing is a temporary adjustment of your behavior to influence and to get what you want, and especially when you're dealing with somebody that you perceive as difficult. So how you style flex is first you have to know your style, then you have to know their style, obviously. Then you have to decide what behaviors you're going to modify, which behaviors you're going to add or subtract, and then you have to develop a style flex plan. And this is an example of a style flex plan. So again, if we had a lot more time, we had a half-day workshop, I'd be giving you these sheets and we'd be doing a style flex plan, but we don't have that much time. So we're just going to do a quick demo up here and then put you in teams of 2 to talk about what you're going to do when you go home. So again, a busy slide about what you need to do when you do a style flex. I will come back to this one. Here is my boss of many years ago. His name is Dan. Dan was and is a very high analyzer. I was and am a very high expressor. I had the most difficult, I considered him a difficult employee. I considered him a very difficult person to work with. And I considered my first couple months working with him was, well, am I even going to make it with this gentleman? And I didn't know anything about social styles when I was working with Dan, and I wish I had. Because he was such a high analyzer, we planned differently, we worked differently. I mean, even a simple thing is when I would go into his office, I'd be like, hi, Dan, and I'd chit-chat and want to carry on, how was the day, how was the traffic? He's an analyzer, he's got his head down, why are you in my office, Dee? That kind of thing. It took me a long time to build that rapport with him, and I use this as an example that if I had known social styles back then, I would have been, I would say, he's an analyzer. Dee, he's an analyzer. What do I need to do? I need to reduce this amount of emotion that I'm showing. And I need to reduce this directiveness. be a little bit more to the inquirer. Because if I'm more like him, again back to Dan Pink, in a mimicking way, if I'm more like him, he's more comfortable, and I have a better opportunity to build a better relationship with him, or better opportunity to influence him. So that's what we talk about when we say you have to decide if you're going to add or subtract behaviors. So the first thing you do is, and my 2 arrows show, if I would have done it right with Dan, I would have reduced how directive I was, how assertive, and I would have reduced my emotional. So that brings us to our actors. So let them introduce themselves. And you've already introduced yourself, but go ahead and do it again.
Sharon Lyerly. I'm an independent consultant currently working at US Cellular, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's right, with me. Yes. But I just met her at the conference.
Yes.
David.
I'm David Chapman. I work with a company called Proficient Inc. We are an IT consultancy. I'm on the management consulting, specifically change management group, and from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Great. So here's the scenario, right? Is that what we rehearsed?
Sure.
Okay. We did this yesterday, so I appreciate it. So basically, are you going to do it wrong first?
Yeah.
David is going to style flex how to influence. She's the sponsor, and you're going to do it wrong.
Right.
Okay.
Got it.
Take it away.
Sharon, hey, so good to see you. It's I've been meaning to catch up with you for a couple of weeks now. We've got all these change management things that are happening with your project, and it starts tomorrow. We've got some communications coming out. You should see the video we got laid out. We've got training coming. Oh, I need your help on the training because we got 50,000 people. We got the best idea. We're going to fly them to Vegas, all of them, to get them all trained up. Is that okay with you?
Put some time on my calendar. Let's talk about it.
We really need to go now. We got to go now. It's exciting. This is going to blow you away. I mean, you're going to be so excited.
Put some time on my calendar.
Okay, thank you. Very good. You did good, David. Wow. I think we know what he did wrong. So, and that's kind of how I reacted with Dan. So, yeah. Okay, so we're going to try now to role play it and see if David can do it right. So let's take it away.
Sharon, thank you for scheduling some time with me. I know it's hard to get on your calendar, but I certainly appreciate the time. As you know, on your project that we've got going on, it's going to be a big deal. And we have a lot that's getting ready to happen. I wanted to bring you up to speed on that. And I've got a couple questions for you.
Yes.
I won't go into all the details because I know your time is precious. But I do want you to know that we're going to launch our communications tomorrow. And we've got some training coming up in the next few weeks. And I really need your sign off because there's going to be an investment with that. We do want to fly 50,000 people to Las Vegas for that. But it's going to be worth it. I mean, we're not looking for adoption. We're looking for excitement. Are you okay with that?
As long as we have the budget, we're good to go.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I think you're off the hook, David. You did a great job. Thank you. So again, what he did, and that's why I said I'd come back to this slide, is he knew what he had to, in this case, he had to subtract certain behaviors. So, it's President Obama. I told him not to call me this morning. Never stops. Never stops. Oh, God. Okay, you guys can take a seat. Give a big hand for them. Okay. Very good. It's your turn now. So what we'd like you to do is select a partner. And obviously you're in your own group, so that's perfectly fine. I don't need you to go find an opposite partner. But if we were doing a half-day workshop, I'd have you guys get with an opposite person and do some role-playing on your own. But we got to get you out of here on time so we can all fly home. So let's go ahead and do this exercise. Identify a person that you find difficult, somebody that you are working with, most likely. It can be somebody at home, obviously. Identify in your mind what is the style of that person. And then you have to identify what behaviors you're going to add or subtract, and then discuss that plan with your partner. So I didn't put the time on there because I didn't know how much time I'd have. So what do you think here, Steve, on time?
We have 25 minutes left.
We have 25 minutes left. Well, that's good. We're doing good because I do want to have time for Q&A. Or as one presenter said, at least questions. I want you to have time to at least ask me a question. Maybe I'll even have the answers. So let's go ahead and do, let's do 6 minutes per person. And I'll start the clock, and then I'll ask you to switch. So do you have any questions? That's the best slide for this exercise. Thank you. Okay, so find a partner and 6 minutes per person. Sure, you can move if you want. Again, nice to see you. So it's going good?
We were back and forth. We didn't.
That's okay, as long as you get your time.
Job over there.
Yeah, but they're very organized.
We haven't even started the activity.
You got it. You've got it down. Okay. All right. Thank you. Come on back. Come back. Come back. Back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Thank you. Wind it down. I love interaction. Wind it down. Thank you. Come on back. Come on back. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, my room host, Steve's told me we have 15 more minutes, so we are right on time. Gosh, this is fabulous. You guys are great. You're totally interactive. You're very good looking. You're brilliant. And I would like to take a photo of each of you. Smile. All right, for my scrapbook, here we go. I wanted to do that. The expressors are back there going, hey, here we are, Dee, here we are. All right, don't forget us, you know. All right, I'm going to text this to Barack. So we're set. So great job. I walked around and talked to people and learned a lot from you, what experiences you were getting from this. So it's good. It's good because, as I said in the very top, I'm really cramming a lot of information in a short amount of time. I've been into this study for ever since I left Dan. I wish I'd had it when I was working for Dan, but after Dan, so probably about 15 years. And I just find it fascinating. And the more I learn it, it's just the more I enjoy instructing it. So I do want to point out that this is the toolkit that I designed to go with the PowerPoint. So you can download the PowerPoint, and I worked real hard to type up a toolkit so you don't have to buy the book because, I'm saving you money. So, I've given credit, so I didn't do any copyright problems, but I've given credit to the authors, and I just highlighted some of the things we've talked about, but I think this is a terrific resource. So I did want to make sure you knew that toolkit is out there, and it's a Word doc, and you can download it, and so that I wanted to mention that. Before we do the Q&As, I just wanted to mention a few things, so that's what I wanted to mention. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. And, oops, let me get it back on. I need an analyzer up here to help me with this technology. So let me fly through these and show you something at the end. This is what I did when I worked one of my jobs, and I did all this survey, and obviously there are companies out there that will sell you a survey to take to decide. I'll speak to my friends, the analyzers. You probably would like a more precise way to know that this is who you are. So you can spend money. You can Google companies. They will send you a booklet, and it'll cost you $100 a person. But I personally just enjoy putting the tape on the floor and moving people around because I get the same results because I've done both. So now when I was at this company, they had a lot of money, so we bought the books. But you don't have to, the survey books. And by the way, in the books themselves, of course, there's a little survey. So in the People Style book, there's a 12-question survey to decide if you really are this style. Most likely you really are. And then in this book, there's a little questionnaire to decide how flexible you are, how versatile you are. But they're all self-identified, so, take them for what they're worth. But if you need them, they're there. So anyway, I just thought this was a really cool thing to do. If you get excited about these social styles, to go back and do it with your team. I was living in Florida, as you can see, and with the palm trees. So we were at a resort doing a team building day. So we all got together and took pictures. And so anyway, just wanted to point that out to you. So now it is time for Q&A, so we can wrap up on time. And obviously, we'll have the microphone and somebody on that end. Sharon, can you help with that? And so I'll just take Q&A, and then we'll be done. Thanks. We have 10 minutes. That's perfect. And can you introduce yourself? We'll go back here and tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hello, my name is Ivy. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I want to thank you for this class. I think it's all very interesting, and I get a lot out of it.
Thank you.
I was curious on how you do this when you're working with a group of people in a group setting where you're having conversations with all different types at the same time and trying to move the conversation along when you know that there are all the different ranges of folks in that room.
Yes, that's a good question. Well, if there's a whole group, this is a Style Flex grid. This was a group of people that I worked with quite extensively. So because I'm a social styles nut, I find this enjoyable to go back and fill in a grid like this. But when you're in a group, you're not going to be able to know right away, but you probably will be able to know one of the dimensions. You might not know if they're exactly a director or an expressor, but you'll probably be able to know if they're tell, because that comes across pretty quickly. The tell people, like the other day, this was great. I was preparing for this talk, and one of my best friends got in my car. And I didn't tell her there was anything wrong with my windshield wipers. There's nothing wrong with my windshield wipers. I have a nice Toyota. There's nothing wrong with it. She gets in my car, and she says, you need to take this car down here to the AutoZone and get new windshield wipers. And she says, they do it for free. I mean, they put them on for free. So, you don't have to pay the service. And I'm like, Paula, what makes you think I need windshield wipers? It's just like, she's so tell. I mean, she's just so, and I wanted to say, you're so tell. What is with this? So that's it. I mean, the predominant tell people will come up. And I think the predominant people on ask, so at least to answer your question, you can usually tell if they're to this side of the line or that side of the line. So that gives you some idea. And then sometimes it's harder to know the emotional. The research says it's harder to identify the emotional. Because let's face it, we can all kind of, I spoke, Melissa, I won't make you speak, but Melissa was telling me that she's been flexing this week to become more gregarious because it's the opportunity to network. So she's been kind of consciously doing flexing, even though we haven't been difficult people. So that's a long answer. I don't really know the answer. That's why I made up the long stuff. Okay. Who's next? That's why I made up a story about Paula.
Hi, I'm Simona Timo. I'm from Victoria, Canada, and I'm curious whether you know if there's any research on other cultures as to the split of the work styles.
Yes, the answer to that is yes. And the Boltons who wrote that book, the book I recommend, I think they're probably retired now, but they've worked for many years. They took the Merrill work and then made it very popular and made it really easy to understand. They've gone all over the world. They've done the other cultures, and their research says that the other cultures are not evenly divided like the U.S., but the U.S. is. So that's what I know about that. They're not as evenly divided as we are. So I thought that was interesting. Next, Sharon, thanks.
Hi, Dee, it's Grace. Love what you've done here. This sounds like you've put together a really useful toolkit that we could take away immediately and do something with if we were so inclined. Is that correct? Do we have all the materials here that if we wanted to do a little workshop with our team, perhaps that we could, or if not,
well, Grace,
how would we do it?
That's a two-part answer. Number one, yes, and I would buy the book. But number two, don't you live like in Oregon? Where do you live? Texas. And I really like Texas, so I could easily go down there and do it with you. I might as well put in a plug while I'm at it. You know, I did work hard and dressed up today. Okay. Who's next? Thanks.
Hi, Angie. So when I was doing the exercise, I recognized that the person that I'm having difficulty with is the same behavioral style as me. And I'm wondering, how do I deal with that?
That comes up a lot when I do the workshop, and because people are like, you haven't told us how to deal with other expressors. And the answer to that is, expressors, when there's two of you together, you're going to fight for the limelight. Directors, when the two of you together, you're going to fight for who's in charge. Analyzers, when there's two of you together, you're going to just sit there together and say, how are we going to get this done? Let's think about it some more. Let's think about it some more. Let's be more difficult to the expressors. And the relators are going to be like, well, we don't want to do too much. We got to make sure everybody's happy. So I'm exaggerating. I tend towards hyperbole, but you know what I mean. So what the research says is that you lessen your assertiveness. You lessen your emotional. So whatever you are naturally, if you're working with a person of the same, you lessen it. I did have that experience. I worked with a gentleman at GE, and he was just like me, if you can imagine two of us in one room. And and we were always like fighting for the limelight. I'm like, this is my turn to speak, So, and it's because he was an expressor and I was an expressor. So that's the answer to that one. I did know that answer. Great. 5 minutes left. Okay.
So I'm Frank Polak. I used to teach a boot camp for project management leadership, and we did a very similar thing on the first day. We had 20 students, and it was an immersive class, so they worked late into the night. And it was really interesting to do some team building exercises that really emphasized, especially that people hadn't experienced the different styles. For example, something where people had to really think and plan. Well, you saw automatically the directors just going at it and start working on it, and the analyzers were in a corner trying to formulate the plan. But having something like that that really drives home and illustrates it was very helpful, and we got a lot of feedback from that.
Oh, that's great. So you've had, do you know what the instrument was that you used?
I don't remember the name.
But it's very similar. Okay. Yeah, well, obviously, smart companies are able to take great literature. And what I think is fascinating about the work of Dr. Merrill and his partner Reed, they worked in Ohio, which is my home state. I already mentioned that. Go Buckeyes. Is that I don't mean to alienate the Florida people, but that work they did in the 60s is still very viable. The book was printed in 1981. But I mean, this social style stuff still holds true. So, probably one or two more questions, and we'll have to wrap up. Okay, and then we'll come over here. Oh, excuse me. Hold on, we'll come to you next. And then there, and then there, and then there, and then we're done. Okay.
Oh, I get to go first.
Yeah,
okay,
who are
good.
you?
Thank you. First of all, this
Stand up, please. Who are you?
Oh, sorry. My name is Annette, and this reminds me very much of DISC.
Yes, it is similar.
Yes, very similar to DISC. And you had a slide up there before which graphed the team, and I wanted to ask. Can we go? No, the one that plotted people on the chart.
Okay, I got that right here.
There we go. So you're plotted very close to the center axis. Does that mean you're like the chameleon?
No, no, that's wrong. I should be way up there in that quadrant.
Okay.
I'm glad you caught that.
Because in DISC, they say the closer you are to kind of the center of where it maps out, you can kind of really flex very easily and be the chameleon kind of through the four different.
Groups talks about hub and stuff. This doesn't have any of that.
Yeah.
But they do. This is the more detailed slicing of it, and that comes the Bolton's built on Merrill and Reed. But no, I'm misstated.
And then this is just more of a comment than a question, but it's really it's refreshing to see, number one, that we have all four styles in the room kind of evenly.
I was surprised.
And to me, that's just we all need each other, and that's the beauty of the diversity of these styles, that we can't really act without the cooperation of each other.
And when we hire, we tend to hire like ourselves, because I'm so happy when I interview with somebody who's an expressor. But they say, the literature says, you obviously, just like to your point, it's much better to have a diverse team. You're going to get a lot more done if we have all four styles represented. Okay, I think we're one or two over there, and then we're going to wrap it up.
So I'm Kelly from New Jersey. Thanks, Dee. This has been a great session. I think my question is one that everyone is going to be interested in hearing the answer to, and it's, how do you apply all of this to romance?
To romance. Yes. I was waiting for that question. So, yes, in romance, Do you think we want to be with our style? No, no, no. And I love it, in the research, the Boltons, Merrill, he doesn't talk about romance, I don't think at all. But they've done the research on the romance, and this is pretty cool. They said 95% of the long-term couples, successful long-term couples, have a mate from the opposite style. So take that home, or if you're online dating, put that profile out. You know, I'm here to help you any way I can. I care about you, and I want you to have a great time. Thank you, guys. Okay, one more question, then we're done.
Actually, could you put it back to that slide that you just had up?
Yes,
the quadrants?
the great.
So we had done, I work in the public sector, and we had done a Myers-Briggs type exercise and with senior leadership, and people got offended as to where they fell in their quadrants because they're senior leaders and they shouldn't be a relator, I guess. So have you ever had that experience?
Well, yes, but that's why I drum home with that cartoon, you know, about, you know, the guy that looks like Napoleon versus the guy with the milk and cookies. How your response is, Mr. Relator, you're a CFO, great, because all styles, whether it's Myers-Briggs or this, are equally successful. What really matters is our ability to be versatile. This is a great wrap-up, thank you, like a shill. What matters is the flexibility to, you know, relate to the difficult people, to relate to all the people, to lead the people. It's recognizing the diversity, because we're all four-style people. We all have all different elements of the Myers-Briggs, et cetera. So, you know, when I do this, people do get a little worried, but you know, that's why I keep drumming home that.
So would you be willing to come to Winnipeg, Canada,
Oh, yes,
in the dead of winter?
Yes, I'm there. I'm there. I'm there. I'm there. So here's the wrap up. I just wanted to say, everybody, thank you so much for your attendance. I was so, when I heard how many people were in it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to modify some of the exercises, but I did, and you did a great job. So here's my email. I have Dee Daley at Yahoo. It's pretty easy. So if you want to talk to me or give me some information or ask for some information, I'm available. Have a safe trip home. Give yourselves a big hand. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. It went really good.